And alright guys, what's the story? Welcome along to 420 News with your show host Martin Condon. And guys, today 420 News is brought to you by Martin's World. Hope everybody's doing excellent out there, guys. I know my buddy John, who was on the podcast there about 2 weeks ago, is doing probably mighty fine today. I was above in Ennis yesterday. Martin's World went on tour. Travelled up the road from Cork to Ennis to visit the court up there. Nice old place. I've never actually been to Ennis before. Quite enjoyed the trip actually. It was a nice little town. But I met up with John up there, and John was in court for growing 6 cannabis plants and being in possession of 94 grams of dried cannabis herb. So John was quite worried about this, and he thought he was going to be getting a prison sentence, and he had vowed that had he received a prison sentence yesterday, he would be going ahead with a hunger strike while in the care of the state, i.e. the prison system. So as you can hear, gladly that didn't happen yesterday. John was very lucky. The man went in, he represented himself, and the judge found it on the date to punish this man. He found him guilty, but he didn't find him guilty at all of drug dealing, which was one of the crimes that he was said to have committed. So they dropped that charge, and then for the 94 grams of cannabis, he received a €250 fine. Quite small, actually, considering, so 94 grams of cannabis, €250 fine. That's less than €2 per gram of cannabis that he had. It's not a bad day's work, and then the cannabis plants, he had 6 of them, which would have been valued at €800 each. He received a €500 fine. He got a conviction for both of those crimes. He already has a conviction going back before for cultivation of cannabis. He was caught with some plants before as well. Again, another small amount, only personal. He wasn't done for drug dealing back then. So happy days for John. Nice result there. And I have 1 or 2 videos there from yesterday that I recorded up above there. And while I was outside the courthouse chatting with John, John popped inside to have a chat with maybe a solicitor or something like that. He was very nervous at the time, and he was reconsidering whether he should represent himself or not. So he was going to go in and have a chat with a solicitor and possibly maybe go get free legal aid. But he didn't end up going doing that. But while he was away, I bumped into this guy outside who was up in court as well that day he was up for €10 worth of cannabis. But more interestingly, he was up for €100 worth of magic mushrooms. So this guy's name was David, and now just a prior warning, I suppose. I was chatting with David this morning, and I kind of know how his case went yesterday, but the guy had a fair smell of drink off him, and he was telling me afterwards that he was after taking a few lines of coke and dropping some pills as well, because he was really worried about his court case. So he was after drinking a naggin of brandy, I think, that morning before he showed up to court. So interesting guy. He's a nice guy, and but I only had a brief encounter with him. So here's a little video anyway, and I hope you enjoyed it. Alright guys, what's the story? Martin here, Martin's World. What's your own name, if you don't mind?
David Coffey.
David Coffey. So I'm here with David Coffey. We're up outside Ennis Court, and David's just after telling me that he's up in court today for mushrooms.
That I picked myself in a field, minding my own business.
So God is actually responsible for growing these mushrooms, so God should be here in court today with...
God has provided us with these monstrous mushrooms.
So guys, I've never met somebody who's been up in court before for mushrooms, and no, this is going to be interesting.
£100 worth of magic mushrooms.
£100 worth? Yeah, must have been a nice bag of them.
£100? No, how can you put value on something that God provided for me? For free?
Yeah, something you pick for free, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's only because of prohibition that there's even a price on these things. You know, they grow off of cow shit in the middle of a fucking field.
They do not
like, seriously,
they do not grow off cow shit.
No, they don't actually, yeah, you're dead right, sorry.
They don't.
No, that was me just kind of downplay mushrooms and stuff. No, they grow from like mycelium up out of the grass. So the Liberty caps.
Mycelium, Liberty caps. Mycelium, of course, The head, of course, the Liberty Cap itself, the bell itself, is only the
nipple, the nipple at the top.
It is only shutting out, you know what I mean, the old.
Sounds interesting, actually. Did you ever notice that the top of the Liberty Cap mushroom is like a wizard cap, and they're magic. What do you think's going to happen after that for yourself?
Oh, well, according to my brief, Justice Militant says simple possession. What?
Simple possession.
How in the name of sanctifying God can you waste something like for free?
I know.
Field?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, as they're growing there, they're not illegal, but as soon as you pick them, they become illegal, and you're now breaking a law.
But what I thought was all very interesting from the Gardaí's point of view, that they charged me with £100 worth of magic mushrooms. I had thousands of them.
You thousand? Yeah. Well, fair enough. They weigh them.
They brought themselves.
Have you ever been caught on mushrooms before? No, first time, so.
I've been caught 10 times dog with hash and grass and
like myself, I was only up 2 months or a month ago there for a joint, like fucking ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
a joint.
I'm also up for £10 worth of
This is
That's
brand
what I was on for €10 worth of cannabis.
£100 worth of
Just check. This has never been used before.
No, never went straight from the envelope. And so €100 worth of mushrooms, like that's ridiculous. Like, and the judge up here now today, he has to deal with this. Like what's he going to do to you? Like,
have you been before this fella before? This
I haven't. No. Who is
he? He's a comedian.
He's a comedian. Yeah.
He loves it. He thinks it's very funny.
Oh, all right.
Which
Yeah.
judge you talking
Every
about?
case now is going to get held up with a big lecture.
Oh, I love it. I
Who
hope I get to sit down inside there
Who
and
are you
watch
talking
this
about?
unfold.
Which judge are you talking about?
Martin Durkin.
Durkin, alright, yeah.
Is that who you have?
Same guy, yeah.
Same guy.
Yeah.
All
You're
right.
doomed.
What?
You're doomed.
Well, the first time I ever saw him, he was like the most friendliest, couldn't help me more, couldn't be willing. There was even a guy came up from Kerry to support me in court on the day, and this is the guy who's been in prison already, who's been in trouble with the law fucking his whole life kind of stuff. And he couldn't believe it when he saw Judge Durkin. He said compared to the judge in Killarney, who was fire and brimstone. I mean, this judge in Killarney was so sick that he couldn't attend court, but he made the court go to his fucking house, his bedroom, around his. I mean, the guy was nuts, like. So your man came up to Killarney thinking, this Judge Durkin guy is fucking fantastic. He actually was, because he went out of his way to try and help people. You know what I mean? There was one or two people in court that day that he could have fucking hammered. And he made a point of saying, listen, if it wasn't your solicitor pleading on your behalf and more or less telling me that you're a fucking nice guy and you're all the rest of this, like, if he hadn't said it, you'd be fucking going to jail.
Nice people use drugs too, like.
Well, I mean, this is not to do with drugs.
Oh,
There's
not
some
to do with drugs, are awesome. So guys, that was just a little video there that I captured with the Mushroom Man. Interesting character. Like, you never know who you're going to meet up at these courts. Like, he happened to overhear me and John having a conversation about John's case and it being cannabis related, and he couldn't help but just take part in the conversation. As I say, he was pretty sauced up there yesterday, but interesting guy nonetheless. And he actually rang me there this morning to fill me in on what happened with him yesterday. So he said he went into court and his solicitor was doing all the talking and what have you, and he felt the few moments where he wanted to have some outbursts, you know, to kind of say his piece, and he didn't. He said he was able to contain himself anyway, despite the possible chemical influences flowing throughout his body. He got a 3-month suspended sentence, suspended for 2 years. You know, it's kind of unfortunate, like, that the poor guy had €10 worth of cannabis on him and he was out picking mushrooms. The cops came upon him after I don't know, maybe the farmer seen him out in the field and reported him. Who knows what the situation was. But he was just caught with a couple of mushrooms on him, like a bit of cannabis. The guy wasn't caught with like a pile of indecent material, like, you know, with violated kids or something. He was caught with some natural herbs and plants and material that have been shown to be actually incredibly beneficial to our health when used correctly, you know, not abused. Obviously these things can be abused, but so can feckin' cheeseburgers. But we're not banning cheeseburgers or, you know, putting rules in place to restrict people's access to them. No, we allow people to kind of make decisions with these kind of things themselves, but we don't with others, and we punish people, make them criminals, waste our Gardaí's time, waste the court's time. Yeah, it's all a big joke. The whole thing's a fucking scam. But I got around and asking John there yesterday about how he slept, and again, our buddy there, the mushroom man, wanted to interject, so that question was cut a little bit short. But here's just a quick little clip. We're with John, guys,
Hello,
and
everybody.
almost D time for him. But how did you sleep last night?
I haven't been asleep for. I went to bed about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I'd say about 4 o'clock I was still.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a couple of hours last.
Yeah.
Same for the last 3 or 4 nights. Like.
Same as that, man.
And there we go, guys. That was just a quick little clip there with myself and John outside of the court yesterday. And if you can just bear with me a couple of seconds there, I'm just opening up another video there for you. Just some more questions I had with John just before his case yesterday. So as I say, he was up in the Ennis court. Let me see if I can get that open there now correctly.
Well,
so how do you think things are going to go down today for you?
I've yesterday afternoon I was in the middle of, I'd finished off handwriting all the stuff I wanted to handwrite, and because you can't bring a laptop into the court, like, so everything written down in the frame there, but I had everything written down, and okay, I just wanted to go for a quick walk, maybe a longish walk, but I'd come back then, and I wanted to check one thing. My phone was fucking, for some reason, no signal, which never happens. I've been 5 years in Kilkee. I have never had a situation where, even if there's like 10,000 tourists show up for a beautiful Sunday, you still get some kind of a signal. So no signal. I couldn't figure it out. I had to do a hard reset. Sorry. I had to do a hard reset on my phone, and lost all my contacts and all the data, and loaded it up again. Then the phone, it took me about 2 hours to get the phone working. So then I decided, okay, I've no time for a walk, I'll do it. I finish off, I wanted to read these reports that I'd be quoting to the judge. And I was checking on my email. There was a guy looking for a screenshot of to confirm. I'm doing a master's degree. I was accepted on a master's degree there last week, and I need to register for it. So I was having problems registering. He wanted me to give him a screenshot. So a screenshot, you have to press 2 or 3 keys at the same time. Well, what I ended up doing, I don't know how I did it, but I changed the keyboard. So I pressed a K and you'd get a W, you press an M, you'd get a 4. And I thought, you know what I'll do? I can't fix this. I tried pressing every button I could think of, and I couldn't. So I thought, well, I'll just reset the thing. And I reset the PC, and up comes the fucking login page. What's your password? Type in my password. Doesn't recognize, because the keyboard is still shagged.
Oh, no way.
So I mean, a person who knows PCs would be able to boot up that PC with a bootable USB drive.
You can figure it out.
And I mean, if you knew what you were doing, you'd figure it out. Like, but I mean, there's no way I was going to figure it. I spent. I gave it up after an hour. So I mean, yesterday, the most crucial day for all the stuff I want to get finished. I mean, I should have got that report printed out, which would be a major headache, because the only place I could print out is the library. And
I'm going to get one of those open on a Sunday.
Well, they were open. Well, that was yesterday and Monday. I could have. But I mean, they have software that you can use to upload your stuff to the cloud, and then it goes down to their printer. And. I never got around to it. I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't get my PC working.
Did you get your letters made out? Do you have some letters if you don't end up out of here today to be sent off?
Not being sure if you were definitely coming, I gave them to a guy I know in Kilkee yesterday.
Excellent, so there's preparations being made on you.
Well, if I don't give him a ring today or tomorrow, he's going to post them tomorrow, and they'll go out to 4 people who gave me their address, or sorry, 5 people who gave me their addresses. And there's just one line in it that the hunger strike is on. If that goes out tomorrow, so as I said, I mean, I'm looking at the stage of I present I think I can get them to drop the dealing charge. I don't know if that'll be a problem or not. That's based just on the amount they found. They just assume you're dealing. And I don't know. 100
grams on 14 plants?
94 grams and 6 plants, and that goes over some threshold. The Gardai.
Yeah, it's like 80 or 1,180 euro. I think, is it 1160? 98 grams, you said, was it?
94.
94 grams, so €20 a gram, so 1,000 or 100 grams is going to be 2,000
euros, more or less.
Just shy of €2,000.
Yeah.
So I'd say you could be able to get off with that deal in charge. Right? How many plants was it?
6.
6 plants. Like,
So,
that definitely is in the lines of personal.
It is, but at the same time, I mean, the judge, he can get very thick.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I mean, it doesn't matter whether whether it's personal use or not. Well, I mean, I'll try arguing that case anyway. I've made out I've shown the calculations for cost of seeds, cost of compost, cost of electricity. There's no other cost besides those for a home grow.
Yeah.
And you work it out, it works out at each plant costs €50 each.
Yeah.
And so and it's about 140 a gram. I've shown the calculations. I give them if he wants to read it himself. So I can show that the valuation that they've done is way. I mean, they're valuing my cannabis at like €7,000.
Yeah, they're valuing street value, but you aren't selling it in the street, so it's like.
So I don't know if he listens.
And there we go, guys. That was everything that I pretty much captured. Well, there was a longer clip that I had edited that out from. Me and John chatted for maybe 30, 45 minutes there before he went in to face the music, so to speak. And I could tell that he was very, very nervous. Like he really was convinced that he was going to get a prison sentence when he went in there, and he was really convinced that he was going to have to go ahead with this hunger strike that he'd vowed to go ahead with. As I say now, very happy that he didn't have to go ahead with that, but he still is left now with the health costs to the last couple of months of worry for him. I have a couple of messages from John over the last few weeks, you know, where he's like, even just that last week, there was more there where he was having just constant nightmares at night time, waking up feeling sick, not even eating properly outside, even going on a hunger strike. His eating habits were already after being impacted upon, and his health impacted upon then as well, because of just the stress and the worry that the poor man was going through for his crime, which was 6 fucking plants and some herb. And as I say, these plants and this herb is actually quite beneficial to your health if you're not going to abuse it. But the powers that be and the policymakers continue to allow it to remain illegal. And it's much to the detriment then of people like this and to the efficiency of our Gardaí too. You know, there was a guard who was down there yesterday who had to show up and who had to give evidence in court against John. You know, that he showed up in the house, raided it, and this is what he found and all of this stuff. And in fairness, that guard was very nice to John. I was kind of there and I overheard some of the conversations between John and the guard, and even the guard came up to John afterwards as we were sitting outside of the court. Myself and John were having a chat, and the guard came up and he said, "Oh, geez, John, that went very well for you." He goes, I'm delighted to see that you didn't have to go to prison anyway." Nice guy and everything, like, it's very nice, but as I always say about this, he can be as nice as he wants, but he is not your friend. The Gardaí are not your friends as cannabis consumers. Like, they'll be very nice to you, but they're not your friends. Just make that clear. And I want to see a day where they can be our friends, you know, where they don't have to be our enemies. But until the day in which the law changes and they're not being used as a tool by the state to target and discriminate against cannabis consumers, well, they will remain an enemy of the cannabis community, sadly, you know. In one of John's cases, you know, he was knocked from his bike and by I think it was a car in a kind of a hit and run incident, and he reported it to the Gardaí, and the Gardaí showed up at his house to get a report from John, and they smelt cannabis at his house because John was inside having a smoke. John didn't open the door for him that day because, again, as I say, he was inside having a smoke. What did the cops do? They came back the next day and raided his house. That was how he got his first conviction for cultivation. That's when they found his first bit of few plants. This second time, it wasn't. It was to do with, he said, on the 28th of December, he was walking home early one morning, happy as can be, and the guards seen him, just, you know, pulled him in and searched him. They brought him back to the guard station then, where they went through his phone. They hadn't found anything on him to this point, but they went through his phone. And why he was arrested, obviously, was because he wouldn't give his name. And they arrested him because of that, and that's why he got brought back. They went through his phone then, and they found an email in his phone with a receipt for buying cannabis seeds, and that's what triggered the second raid. They came over to his house 2 weeks later and raided his house and found him with those plants, which he, as I say, he got a couple of fines for, €500 fine and a €250 fine for the herb that he had. This is a little video here that I'm going to play for you now with myself and John just after the court. So this is just taken from outside of the Ennis courthouse, just in a little green area there, and we just have a little chat about the what went down that day for him. So I'll move on to other pieces in the news then after this. We have some stuff coming up there on Little Collins, the CBD dispensary in Galway, and we also have some other news there from Clare, some raids on grow houses. So this is myself and John before we go to that. So alright guys, we're back down here just up outside Ennis Court here, and it's myself, Martin Condon, with John O Regan. So John is just after finishing up inside in the courthouse behind us, so he's going to fill you in there on how he got in there, or how he got on there today. So take it away, John.
Well, good news obviously, so that's huge relief. Went in, the judge Durkin was fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to I mean, there's one thing he said I didn't agree with, but I mean, he was extremely helpful. At no point did I feel disadvantaged by not having a solicitor. He was extremely, as I said, very helpful to tell me what was going on, what the procedure was, and I wasn't a little bit uncertain as to what to do. If anybody was going to represent themselves, I'd highly recommend that you go to court a lot and see what happens there before then you'll have an idea. But like as I said, he listened. Before going to the court, the prosecuting guard decided to drop the charge of dealing. He said the only reason he gave me the charge of dealing is because I wouldn't talk to him, I wouldn't answer his questions on the day of the arrest. So they couldn't establish on the day of the arrest that I wasn't dealing, so they just had to put it in. So, but anyway, that was dropped before the case started. And the other two charges, then I cross-examined the witnesses, the two Garda witnesses. I pointed out that the valuation that they gave was like 30 times bigger than what it's cost me to grow cannabis. I don't know that it made much of a difference. I gave evidence then, and I basically just reading a statement about Professor David Nutt's 2010 paper, which is a scientific breakthrough, explaining that cannabis is actually less harmful than the drugs we're used to, so that previous evidence that might have been available to suggest otherwise is either wrong or fabricated. And I tried putting that argument. I read that out in a statement in the witness box, and I wasn't interrupted at any point, and went back and sat down. But to be honest, I don't think the judge paid it the slightest bit of attention. And I then went on to try to explain to him, that cannabis is becoming more acceptable around the world, and I tried doing that by explaining that it's legal in Uruguay, legalized in Canada, becoming legalized throughout the United States. And he went off then straight away. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter a damn what they're doing in other countries. Ireland is Ireland, and Ireland is Irish laws. It doesn't matter what they're doing in other jurisdictions. He missed the point I was trying to make, which was that it will be that. It should be more lenient now, because we're moving towards a regime where it'll be legal here, so that the penalties should be less. But he didn't listen to that at all. So I was sitting there after all of this, and he then said, "Well, I find you guilty on both counts." And I was sitting down there going, "Oh my God, here we go." And on the first charge, he gave me a fine of €250, and on the second charge, a fine of €500. So the two charges that I forget which one is for which. I mean, there's 94 grams of cannabis of 6 plants. Which fine was for which, I'm not quite certain. But it's, in any case, it's €750 fine. There's no jail. There's no hunger strike. Thanks be that fuck. I mean, yeah. As most cannabis smokers out there, I mean, we're not violent people. The last thing we want to be doing is hurting anybody, least of all ourselves. So I mean, it's a kind of thing. It's the reason that there's never nobody on cannabis is fucking crazy enough to do to plan out a hunger strike. I mean, that kind of thing. I mean, we want to peacefully be able to live our lives and peacefully introduce cannabis. We don't want to be going on hunger strike and breaking into shops and breaking into the Dáil and harassing TDs. We'd like to do this in a genial fashion, if it can be. And so, I mean, I can understand why people are out there going, hunger strike, no way. It's not. It's antithesis of what we're all about. But I was put in a position where I'd either accept going to jail or not, and the only way I could not accept it would be to actually go on hunger strike. So, as you just said earlier, like, I mean, that I haven't been sent to jail, so that's not an issue anymore. But it's still something that, if I'm caught again,
Yeah.
if it happens again, I mean, it's.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you do have 2 convictions now off the back of this. So you have a conviction now for cultivation and for possession.
And possession, yeah.
So that's 2 convictions. Have you convictions from past?
I have previous convictions for possession and cultivation already.
Okay.
So I know.
Interesting. Yeah. So you had those going in there, and he
Yeah.
still didn't give you jail time.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one out there, like for people to know. I'd say there's a lot of people afraid, terrified that.
Like
you know,
I was this morning. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I thought it was a dead cert. As I said, I might have said in an earlier interview that I got 120 hours community service in lieu of 3 months in prison for 10 grams of cannabis. So I thought I had 94.5 grams of cannabis and 6 plants. I was getting 3 months in prison for 200 euros, or what was it? 200 euros worth of cannabis the last time, and so it was like 7,000 euros worth this time. So I mean, just simple arithmetic, you think he's going to give me 4 years, like. But
yeah, you would think.
Well, as I said, it might have to do with COVID-19. It might have to do with
Maybe it's a reflection of the change in views of the authorities inside there, like that they're kind of sick of punishing people for this, like 750 euro. Like it's not even it's enough money. Like I don't want to be paying 750 euro fine, but in the scheme of things, like, you know, you'll be much happier to pay 750 euro rather than to be paying 6 months of your life.
Well, if I'd pay 750 euros to somebody to say they will guarantee that I don't have my health and my stomach won't be ruined. I mean, I had stomach ulcers for 20 years. I know what it's like to be to have a permanent physical disability. And I'm one of the few people that knows what it's like to be cured of what was a permanent physical disability. So, I mean, what I am is like a guy who was becking in a wheelchair and he's now able to walk. I mean, people don't realise it, like how terrible it is to have a you know, if you've never have been sick long term, it takes over your life, like. So I mean, if I had to pay 750 euro to somebody to guarantee my health, I'd have no problem.
Yeah,
I mean,
you'd pay 1,500,
oh
happily,
geez,
3,000
anything.
even.
Yeah, I mean, the suffering and the pain that as a result of going on a hunger strike, you potentially. I mean, the hunger strikers back in the 1980s, they all still have permanent. I mean, those that are still around, you know, you never fully recover from it. Like, and they were all young men. Like, I mean, they were. I mean, I'm 56. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, thank God it hasn't come to that here today, and the judge has seen a bit of sense. He still is giving you a conviction. He's still giving you a fine. But he hasn't taken away your complete freedom.
Well, that's you'd nearly feel like going up to the judge and thanking him, you know. I mean, as I said, I was sitting there waiting for
the sentence.
Sentence. You're going to 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, whatever it is.
And tell me, has this added fuel to the fire for you now in terms of the passion to have this law overturned and changed?
Well, unfortunately, I'm enrolling on a master's degree course at NUI Galway in agricultural innovation.
Happy days.
So I mean, I'm going to be very busy for next year doing that, and
set up a Students with Sensible Drug policy while you're in college.
Well, it's all online. I mean, I won't be actually. I won't be. There are some plans. I mean, normally the course is held. You do attend lectures there some Saturdays, but because of COVID-19, I don't know
different.
It could go very different.
I'll be back in UCC myself, and that's what I'll be doing. I'll be doing a bit of a master's as well on bioanalytical chemistry, so I'll be doing that, but I'll also be getting back involved in with the Students for Sensible Drug policy.
I've no excuse though. Well, I mean, there's no way that I've been at this for 4 years and I'm just going to stop, like, but I mean...
No, you can never...
I mean, I still keep on posting about stuff, and if we ever get to the point where there actually are 300 people who seriously would get together in some conference, it will have to be an outdoor place now these days. But if you can get 300 people together who all pay a $5 or a $10 fees towards their new
political party.
New political party.
Yeah.
And they elect, or we elect a president, treasurer, secretary, the whole thing that you need to form a. We can put forward in the next election, we can have a cannabis candidate, and it can be down in the ballot box. Patricia O'Neill, Ireland's Cannabis Party, a person who might have never, like a lot of people, they don't follow what's happening. You know, they don't avidly follow every single, even when their general election is on, they don't avidly follow what's going on. But if they go into their electoral box or their box to make their vote, and they see number one, okay, they'll vote for Green, Fianna Fáil. Or on who's this cannabis? They mightn't even know. But
they'll see it in the name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that was one fault that I had of myself. I was when I ran as an independent. There was nothing there beside my name, so the only way people would know if I was a pro-cannabis candidate would have been by meeting me and actually talking to me, and that was my aim. I was trying to meet and talk to as many people as I possibly could. But I definitely think I would have got even just a little bit few more votes by just having cannabis next to my name. Definitely would have.
Well, I mean, my
it's that hot a topic, I think, at the moment.
Well, if there was, I mean, when I was voting at the last election, I only gave 1, 2, and 3. I couldn't find number 4 or 5 to give a vote to. There was a load of independents there. They were just their names. But I didn't know what they were about. They could be somebody who wanted to ban abortion again. For all I knew, I had a clue. So I mean, there was no way. And again, if any of those people wanted to put up posters, if you're not part of a party, you can't put up anything other than your image, or say you're an independent or something like that. Because you can't identify as being a cannabis candidate. They'll even you can't take a picture of yourself smoking a spliff. I mean, they will ban. I mean, it has to be just a plain, or so like there's no way to get across to the masses like Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael can, and Sinn Féin as well.
A party gives you that.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the money to put up posters.
So
in every
where
village.
can people who might be interested in this find you? So is it just on Facebook? You are on Twitter as well, I think.
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And Instagram as well.
Well, although I don't really do much with those as such, you know. I mean, it's mostly Facebook, because you can like today I set up only 4 weeks ago. I set up the Hunger Strike Coordinating Committee, and I mean, it's so simple to do on Facebook. You just set up the new group, and anybody that wants to support that particular action can do so straight away. Whereas
so what's the name of it on Facebook again?
On Facebook, Ireland's Cannabis Party.
Ireland's Cannabis Party, and that's the same on the other platforms as well.
In Instagram, Ireland's _cannabis_ party.
The underscores
and
instead
Twitter,
of spaces.
I think it's at cannabis legalization. I'm not quite sure about that now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Like there's also Ireland'sCannabisParty.com. Ireland's Cannabis Party, all one word, which you can. I still have that website. I mean, it's
excellent.
I've just did that myself. It's just a one-man show. That's not a part. That's not if Ireland's Cannabis Party should ever become a reality. All of that, including the Facebook page, will be taken over by the social media coordinator or person, whoever that is, and knows how to properly design a good web page. Like I mean,
no, that's all good. Is there anything you want to add in there before we end this?
Nice one, lads. Thanks a million for all your support. Especially the 3 lads in Killarney who rang me at 11 o'clock last night. We spent an hour bamboozling one another on the phone. I could hardly hear what they were talking about, but it was great fun, and it lightened the mood, and it gave me a bit of a boost. So to them and to everybody out there who's given me any support, thanks a million. Cheers. Thank you.
So guys, there you have it. That's John O Regan there from we're down outside the Ennis Court. As I said, this man is still a free man. He's not going on hunger strike. And if you want to get involved with the cannabis legalization party, get in touch with him on any of those social media platforms, or get onto his website as well, which was cannabislegalizationparty.ie.
No, Ireland's Cannabis Party.
Ireland's Cannabis Party. .com. So Ireland'sCannabisParty.com or Ireland's Cannabis Party on Facebook.
That's it.
Sweet. So guys, have a nice day, and thanks for tuning in. Peace. And there you go, guys. That was the aftermath of yesterday's court case there with John O Regan, who again, as I say, was up for 6 cannabis plants and 94 grams of cannabis. You know, shy of 8 or 7,000 euro worth of drugs that he was up in court for, and he got to walk out not really a free man, because he now has convictions to his name, but he gets to just go home. he was delighted. He was he was telling me yesterday, not on that video, I don't think, but he was telling me that his plan for the evening was to go to the Duns. He was going to pick up some munchies and he was going to go home and roll some big fatties. He said, I normally spare out my cannabis now, maybe about a third of cannabis and 2/3 tobacco, but he said, I'm going to have a big old fatty out this evening and pack it full of cannabis. So I hope he had a nice evening there, and I hope he gorged well on some fine old munchies for himself. And yeah, I hope you're doing well out there, John. And it was a pleasure to meet you yesterday, bud, and to yourself as well, to the mushroom man. It was a pleasure to meet you too. It was a fine old day out up in County Clare there yesterday in Ennis. And guys, just before we leave County Clare, there was other news there from County Clare. Yeah, it was on Monday. I think this was Monday evening. The Gardaí in Clare, assisted with the Garda drug unit, carried out a raid at a house, and they found was it what was it? It was €16,000 worth of plants and €5,500 worth of cannabis. So we had a lot of grown adults, men and women, officers, go in and raid a cannabis grower's house, and lo and behold, they found cannabis there. Of course, you're going to find a bit of cannabis at a cannabis grower's house. €16,000 worth of plants. Okay, guys, this was 20 plants. 20. And look, you see in the picture here, like maybe these are damaged from the cops, like, but they don't look like too full of plants. Like they might have had 20 plants, but maybe they weren't in the most mature state. Who knows as to the growing regimen that they were going through. But 20 plants is by no means like a cannabis factory or some Pablo Escobar type operation. More than likely, this is like some person who likes to consume cannabis, who also knows a couple of other people who like to consume cannabis, and he might be sharing it out, maybe one of those, each of those pouches there, the tobacco pouches that have the cannabis in them is for a friend of theirs, they might have a little grow collective where one person does the growing and the other people kind of just supplement that person's their income, and to cover the cost of the producing the plants and the cannabis. Not that evil an operation, to be, if you ask me. And it's only because of the policymakers that these people are doing this. If cannabis was legal and regulated, and if these people were able to go and pay money to get a license to grow this stuff at home, they probably would do it. They probably wouldn't be selling it illegally on the streets either. If they were able to just grow it happily at home, I'm sure the cost would go down, because you could use it, a little greenhouse out your back garden and grow more than enough cannabis that you need for that year in that greenhouse. And all it's going to cost you is maybe the seeds, your time, and maybe a bit of soil and nutrients, or whatever way in which you tend to care for it. If you have a proper garden going on with proper compost and everything, it's going to only cost you the seeds. Because you'll be able to keep a nice circular environment there, where you're feeding your compost pile, and then the compost pile in turn is feeding your worms, who in turn feed your plants. And that's for nothing. But no, instead we have an illegal plant that's worth a heck of a lot of money on the streets, and we have criminals who get involved in this, and then we have some innocent bystanders who get caught up in this and were made to be looking like criminals because they grow 20 plants. 20 plants isn't a lot, guys. To be honest, it's not. I know you might think it is, but it's not. Like 6 of those plants could have been in flower. They could have had 14 in a vegetative state. 14 could have been clones. They could have been working out, maybe getting a good mother. You just don't know. Like 20 plants, it's not a lot of plants, to be honest. It will produce enough cannabis if you finish them all. But there's fellas out there and they have factories with thousands of plants. Thousands of plants. You see legal operations in the States now, like, and they just have massive factories just completely converted into cannabis grow environments, and it's ridiculous. And we still have our Gardaí here going after it because it's illegal. Do you know what's dangerous, guys? Driving into a parking spot, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's illegal to reverse onto a main road. On my way to Ennis yesterday, I went through Charleville. Okay, Charleville has one main street going through it, and it's a rather busy street. As I got through the town, I noticed that there was at least at least 10 cars on a road that were driven into a parking spot, which means they had to reverse back onto a main road. Did the Gardaí go and stop these people? Did they give them fines? Do you know? I don't know. As I say, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure reversing onto a main road is an illegal offence in terms of driving because it's dangerous. You're supposed to reverse into the parking spot, so you drive onto the main road, because reversing onto a main road, as far as I know, is illegal. But you know, Gardaí don't really go do that yet. There's actually people in danger from this yet. But cannabis, you know, cannabis consumers want to buy cannabis. There's nobody made consume cannabis against their will. just you know, point again. I'm open to corrections if I'm wrong on that one. If it's not illegal to reverse onto a main road, I stand to be corrected. But as far as I know, it is. So yeah. Guys, in other news, we're going to hop on not too far away. We're staying within the confines of Ireland here today, and we're moving over to Galway, where we have a local business known as Little Collins. And Little Collins were back in the news again today because, interestingly, their case has been making a move forward. So there was an article in the Connacht Tribune that basically went through their case, and it's Little Collins. They had 2 raids carried out last year. One raid was on the family home, and the other raid was on their store. So it was ridiculous what went down there. Luckily enough for Little Collins, they weren't home at the time. The owner of the business, his wife, was due to arrive home with their child, and luckily enough they didn't, because the Gardaí carried out a controlled delivery. And that's basically where they delivered it, but they did it in a raid style. You know, they went in and they basically bust in the door. They went through their fucking underwear drawers, like, you know, they went through everything. It was ridiculous what they done, like highly invasive. You know, and it's just incredible what these people are being put through, and they're trying to operate within what they say is a grey area. But as kind of pointed out in the court yesterday, any cannabis flowers are illegal because just the wording of the law makes them illegal, regardless of how much THC is in them. And it's backwards, because like this stuff won't get you high. It's the equivalent of taking I don't know, a drop of vodka and putting it into a 500 milliliter bottle of water, and expecting it to have the same effect as the original bottle of vodka that the drop came from. Do you know, it's just backwards what's going on here. And for the state then to be wasting so much fucking money, like a numerous amount of Gardaí, the customs officials, like all of the wasted man hours, like that's taxpayers' money. Like, let me remind you, like this is mine and your hard-earned, like, taxpayers' money. Remember, our roads are crumbling. We have a homeless crisis. Our hospitals are going to shit. We have an ongoing global pandemic now, and a looming, like, no, actually, we're in a recession now, if memory serves correct. I think there was an announcement there recently in one of those newspaper articles that we are now in a recession. And here we have the state just pouring bloody good old hard-earned taxpayers' money into fighting a failed war on drugs, you know, enforcing these outdated draconian policies that the public don't, it's not representative of the public's views anymore. If there was if we were to carry out something similar to what's going on in New Zealand, so New Zealand very soon in October now, they get to have what's known as a non-binding referendum. So basically in Ireland, if we have a referendum, it's to change our constitution. So in New Zealand, they're getting to have a referendum, but it's not to change their constitution, hence the non-binding part of it. It's basically just to give guidance to the government as to what the public want in terms of policy change. So they're getting to vote now on the legalization of recreational cannabis, you know, the sale of cannabis and the growing of cannabis for adults aged 18 and over, or possibly 21 and over. Stand to be corrected on that one there. But it's a very sensible way forward that they're going ahead with. And I wonder, could we do something of the same, you know, have a non-binding referendum here, and so we could have a proper idea of at least the voting public's views on this. Because I think if we were to have a vote on whether Ireland should legalise and regulate the sale and supply of cannabis, I think we would have an overwhelming majority of people. I'd say it would be possibly 70% plus in favor of it. Do you know, with the alternative, you know, continuing to leave it in control of criminals, you know, which one do you support? You know, criminals selling drugs, or a regulated model where people can get them? You know, criminals selling cannabis, or a store like Little Collins selling cannabis. Like, which ones do people prefer? And I would imagine nearly 70 to 80% of people would be before a regulated model for cannabis, you know. So in this seizure anyway, they found €120,000 worth of cannabis. So that equates to basically 6 kilos of cannabis they found, because they're valuing it at street price. But again, they're comparing apples and oranges here. The CBD is worth nowhere near that amount. I'd imagine if they had asked the Little Collins business owners how much they had paid for it, I'd say they would have found that they paid maybe, I don't know, 6 kilos, maybe 10 or 12 grand, thereabouts, you know, maybe 10 times less than what they're saying that they paid for it. Possibly less, like if they bought it all at once in a nice bulky order, they might have got a nice discount. But like, I know myself that wholesale CBD flowers can, if you're buying a large enough amount of them, you could get them as cheap as €1 per kg, you know, or sorry, €1 a gram, when you're buying a large amount, you know, and then they're able to sell it at a nice markup. Like, but the state here, like, are making a ridiculous estimation of the value of it. You know, it's street value. It's like turning around and taking that drop of vodka, putting it into the water, and saying now that vodka bottle of water with the drop of vodka in it is the same value as the bottle that the vodka came from. Like, you know, the stuff is incredibly watered down. It's just ridiculous. Like, and yeah, the state don't know what to do. Then they're up there, they're scratching their heads inside in the courtroom, like, what's going on here? Like, so this is staying within the district court, which is kind of unheard of for such a sum of drugs. Anything over €13,000 worth of cannabis should be dealt with in the circuit court, if I'm right. And then that person could be facing upwards of 5 years in jail, because in the district court, they're unable to hand down sentences that exceed 5 years, possibly 3 years. I think it's 5 years, but it could be three. So in the district court, they can't do this. So they were even asking this question in the court there yesterday, like, oh, why is this in the district court? Why have the DPP directed that it stay there? And then they kind of go through it. Well, this isn't like your regular cannabis cases. This stuff is a bit different. It's the CBD type cannabis, but yet they're still valuing it like the other stuff. You know, they still have these sensational headlines, and we still have them coming in, kicking in the door. Like, I'd imagine these Gardaí were armed at the time of it. They came in and raided their store while they had customers in there. Like, it's just, it's just really annoying that goes on. And this annoyance, like, it's not just me. This is right across the board. Like, there's so many people out there who are really annoyed with this. A few comments there from the Connacht Tribune's article there. So first we have Matthew Collins, who I'd imagine isn't related to the to the business owners, possibly, maybe just coincidental, but anyway, nothing but bullshit from the Irish legal system as always. I wholeheartedly support Little Collins in their sale of a substance which is proven to have more benefits than most modern prescribed pills. I'm very sorry that the Irish system is draconian on almost every front, especially when it comes to a plant that has grown naturally on this earth for hundreds of years. And not only that, it has thousands of years of recorded use in with humans. You know, as I said in the last Monday's 420 News, Ayurvedic medicine, it recorded cannabis use in the form of bang, for medicinal reasons going back to 3,000 years ago. So it has a long history of use within the human culture. So another comment here from Justin Conboy. Is it Conboy? Yeah. How can they come up with that estimated value? Yeah, it's bottle of vodka watered down to nothing. It has no value compared to the normal proof of vodka. Yeah, exactly. Also, why didn't they say the street value? Probably because it has no street value when compared to illegal cannabis. do they even ask did they even ask him, as in the owner of Little Collins, how much his stock was worth or so cost, you know? So there you go. More just outrage there from the general public, Facebook peoples. And one final comment there from two people, two comments in one. And I just put these ones together. And Gina Toohey had said, time to cop on, folks. So hard to keep a business going these days. And the city needs nice, tasteful, maintained shop units. This is backwards and damaging approach. Stop. Yeah, bang on, Gina. 100% agree with you. You know, you have a small business and they're taking up a unit which would have possibly remained vacant because of the current economic climate, but instead it's occupied by a business owner who has much pride for their community and has a very beautiful shop front, as opposed to what it would have been left going to wreck and ruin had it not been occupied by this business. And then Anne Finn adds to this saying, shocking, I use CBD oil for arthritis from Holland and Barrett. Are they are they prosecute them too? It clearly states very low grade cannabis found. Am I likely to get high on CBD oil then? No, and you're not likely to get high in CBD oil. And the reason why I linked these two comments together is because basically what you have here is big versus small. You have big business like Holland and Barrett that are able to sell their CBD oils and these other products on the high street, and they don't have their shops raided. They don't have controlled deliveries done on their products at all. And some of their products, if they come from full spectrum CBD extracts from the plant, they most likely have some trace elements of THC, which would deem them illegal and worthy of the same treatment as Little Collins. So do we have a bit of preferential treatment here again in Ireland? Which, you know, it's not new for Ireland, like the Apple Task fiasco, where we favour big businesses over little businesses. Is this the case here? I don't know. But the policymakers again out there, like, you have to hang your head in shame, guys. You're really like just dropping the ball here. We could have a thriving cannabis industry in Ireland a long time ago had you put pen to paper and put proper policies in place that would have enabled our farmers to be able to grow cannabis plants and participate in the cannabis market on the global stage in an incredibly competitive way. Because at the moment all of our farmers, when they're forced to grow these hemp plants, you know, these industrial hemp plants, they're at a disadvantage to other farmers out there who are able to grow better strains of cannabis that have better chemo profiles that are better suited to some of these extracts that are going to deliver medicinal qualities to the consumers of those products, you know. So it's just more backwards thinking. And you know, it is just really it's like a David versus Goliath out there. You've got small businesses who are getting raided, and you've got big businesses able to peddle their CBD stuff, and they're not drawing any attention from the authorities. It's yeah, it's just a high shame, and a shame on our government again for just not being more proactive and putting proper policies in place. And guys, much like the cannabis community did for Kyo's at that time, get out there, show a bit of support there for your local CBD producers. Little Collins has an online store, and they also have a store in Galway, and they also have a store in Kilkenny. So get in there, say hi to them, and show a bit of support and solidarity with these guys, and maybe try out some of their products. There's also other CBD producers and businesses out there. Just in Cork, I know there's Puffin Stuff and Funky Skunk. They were selling CBD flowers. That quite possibly has changed and stopped now since, but still very good stores there who are supporters of our community and the movements that fight for the legalization of this plant in the country. So get in there, guys, show your support, much like you did for Kyo's, who in turn haven't really shown much support back to our community. It would have been nicer of them to kind of acknowledge the support that the cannabis community were after showing to them. There was a good 2 week campaign there of people like hashtag support Kyo's, hashtag Uncle Tony, free Uncle Tony, or all of those kind of hashtags that were going around at that time. So again, guys, get out there, you know, show your support, solidarity to the CBD suppliers, the CBD dispensaries. that are going, operating within this grey area and putting their necks on the line. So yeah, well done to them. And guys, just to finish off there, we're just hitting that hour mark, and thanks to everybody who has bared with us up until now. Just to finish off, there was a recent study released there, and a guy I'm very much fond of, Professor David Nutt, was one of the authors along with three others there. And in this, they basically, the title of the study is "So Near Yet So Far, Why Won't the UK Prescribe Medical Cannabis?" So basically, we've been touching off this there last week in the UK, where the NHS has recently signed off on paying the prescription for only one child's medicine, Billy Caldwell there in Northern Ireland. So there's other parents out there now who are fighting for the NHS to pay for their prescriptions, and currently in the UK, patients can get a private prescription, but there's an incredible cost barrier attached to this that stops these people from getting it. And there's still many others out there who are unable to be prescribed cannabis because maybe their condition isn't listed in the list of conditions for the prescribing of cannabis, or as I say, maybe they're just not able to meet that cost. So Professor David Nutt and these other researchers kind of have put out a paper that is calling on the policymakers. They're basically saying that it's time to embrace cannabis for medicinal use, that there is a lot of resistance there within the professional medical community prescribing these medicines because of numerous reasons, the stigma, the propaganda, just the old school rhetoric, right? The unwillingness to change, to admit that what you believed once is wrong and to start believing something new. There's all of these kind of things that are going on there, and then there's the money aspect to it too. There's other people think that the pharmaceutical industry have maybe they're manipulating the politicians in keeping it illegal so that they can make the most money off it. I've no proof to this except to the fact that they are lobbying a government, and what they're lobbying a government for, I don't know, because they're not very transparent on this. They're certainly not lobbying the government for the legalization of cannabis or for the right for patients to grow their own at home. That I can guarantee you, they're not doing that. So this study had a conclusion then, a very good study. It's an open study, so anybody can get access to this full article online, and a very good article too. I only got to briefly read through one section of it, and it was Why the Resistance, and it was a very good article, and it highlighted a number of arguments that I've brought up a couple of times here before on the show. But here's the conclusion of this study, and I'll be finishing up the 420 news then not too long after this, guys. So the conclusion, the many thousands of UK patients self-medicating with non-regulated CBPMs, which is cannabis-based products for medicinal use, and the international database evidence suggests these new medicinal products offer significant advance in treatment for many in whom current medications are either ineffective or poorly tolerated. They also offer the potential of significant cost savings to the NHS in terms of reduced hospital stays and less prescribing of other medicines, particularly opioids, for chronic pain. The failure of the medical and pharmacy professions to embrace cannabis-based products for medicinal use, despite their being made legal over 18 months ago, is a great worry to patients and will already likely have led to the preventable deaths of from conditions such as epilepsy. We hope that this paper will help policymakers and prescribers understand the challenges to prescribing and so help them develop approaches to overcome the current highly unsatisfactory situation. So sorry there for the slow reading of that. The writing is rather small here on my screen, so thank God I've got some good 20/20 vision. But guys, yeah, many patients, and really like this to reiterate that point, like just people have died because of the ignorance and just the lack of willingness for our policymakers to embrace medical cannabis, just because of their desire to continue with the, the want to be right on this, cannabis is an illegal drug. We don't want it in our society. Um, this is wrong. This is wrong on so many levels. Like, these guys are causing so much needless suffering out there in our society. As I say, I went and I done an honours degree in herbal science. I wanted to study medical cannabis at the end of my uh, course for my final year project, and I couldn't. I couldn't add to the body of knowledge out there that a possible study, a little research that might have started that snowball effect for me. Like, one question would lead to another question, which possibly would lead to some great answers down the line, and to possibly me getting a doctorate or a PhD. But no, the stigma was applied. I wasn't allowed to work with cannabis medicines. I was forced to go and do a study on the antibacterial effects of extracts from the dandelion plant, the roots of the dandelion plant to be specific. Interesting study. I enjoyed it nonetheless, and the tools and the skills that the skills that I developed doing that, I can apply to cannabis again. But it was just, it broke my heart that I could work with one plant but not another plant. The chemicals I was working with for that particular experiment with the dandelion root extract were far more dangerous than any chemical within the cannabis plant. Dichloromethane, I could have taken a swig of that stuff and boom, done, donezo. That's the end of you. You have to work with the stuff in a fume hood, like, because just even inhaling it is enough to knock you the F out, like, so. But no, you can't work with cannabis plants. You can't expand the body of knowledge there around this plant that add to the knowledge that might actually help with these patients and the prescribing of a medicine. No, like, Jesus, man, I bang my head off the wall sometimes when I think about this stuff, because it just hurts my head that the ignorance, like, of these guys out there, the damage it's just that they're doing. Vera Toomey will tell you that her daughter Ava has not been to the hospital for a long time. She's probably been in for checkups. She might have had maybe a visit or so for other things over the time, but she is nowhere near the number of visits that she would have been doing on a regular basis prior to starting her cannabis medicine treatment. The amount of money she's saving our country, and ambulance, trips. She's not calling an ambulance out to the house and bringing her child in. She's not spending many nights inside in the pediatric unit with her child, and her child isn't going through multiple seizures a day because she now has access to a medicine. A medicine she might not have had access to is if it wasn't for that warrior like spirit that her mother has, that led her to walk from Cork to Dublin, not once but twice. She was turned around the first time by the lies of Slimy Harris and all of the other guys up there, but the second time she seen it through and she made it up there and she got access to it. Fair play to her, like, and she's still fighting today for all of the other patients out there who don't have access to it. Like, so fair play to her. Like, she hasn't passed that torch. Like, she's still carrying that torch, like, and she's a forerunner at the front. Like, so fair play to her, and the others out there. Like, she's not alone in this. Like, there's many other patients out there now who are using their voice and their case to they have this law change, and to end this discrimination, and for our medical profession, to get their heads out of the sand and start leading the way and guiding patients in how to best use these cannabis medicines. Because for the best part now, it's been the patients leading the health professionals, which is one of the reasons given actually in Professor Nutt's study as to why there might be hesitance, because the doctors don't want to admit that possibly the patients know more than them. So, guys, that's me, and that's the 420 news for today, guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry we dwelled on that first part there on John's case for so long, but I thought it was quite worth covering because of what the man was about to embark upon had he gotten a prison sentence. And you know, I hope you all enjoyed it anyway. And again, as always, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. If there's anything you want me to add, if there's anything I want me to cover, you know, if you want to take part in the show at all, guys, get in touch. You know, I'll just quickly flick on over there to the comments on the Facebook and just give a shout out to anybody who's interacted with us today. So we have Mick, who made the live video this time. So nice one for joining us, Mick, man. I hope you enjoyed it. And then we have a comment from myself. Yeah, welcome along, Mick. Sinkus Wu, good man, nice one, Sinkus. If I'm pronouncing your name right there, hopefully. And then Dave, yeah, man, interesting character. I'm sure you're on about the mushroom man there. And nice one again for joining us today, Dave. I hope you've enjoyed the show, man. We've Luke Flynn, chilled out, blazing. Love your 420 show. That's the job, man. That's how 420 is supposed to be enjoyed. Blazed. And Dave again, no issues, as you said. One man show. You're doing a great job. Nice one, Dave, for the support, man. Much appreciated, honestly. The support I get from you guys, honestly, it's a fuel that burns much stronger than the fuel I get when I encounter some of the gardai. So your support, guys, it's incredibly valuable to me. So keep it coming, guys, and all your messages again. Like I get around to reading them all, and yeah, each one of them, like it's just fuel to the fire that keeps me going. So keep them coming, much appreciated. We have Robert Anthony McGrath. You need to run again. Oh, Robert, man, I haven't ruled out running at all. As soon as an election comes around, I will for sure be running again. I'm examining the party option. If John happens to get the party going and stuff, it's possible. Maybe infiltrate some parties. There's been one or two buddies there been trying to talk me into joining Sinn Féin. I don't know. Like, I know Sinn Féin aren't very much supporters of cannabis, like, but if they were willing to put me on the docket as one of their members, and if they were allowing me to run poster free, and if I can maintain my voice and everything I say and not have to change it in a single way, not 1% of a way, like not even 0.1% of a way, maybe then I might consider actually joining the Sinn Féin party and giving it a go and running, like, but I don't think I would get away, have that much flexibility within there. But maybe join them and get them kick me out then for my my vocal support of cannabis legalization. Maybe that might get me some support. I don't know, man. Just kind of running through these ideas there anyway. But yeah, no, I'm definitely going to run again. As soon as there's an election announced, man, you can be guaranteed you're going to see Martin Condon on that ballot paper in Cork North Central. So yeah, keep your eye out, guys. I'll be for sure keeping my ears open anyway for any looming election. I would love to see one this side of the year, to be honest, like, because the government up there at the moment, they're a joke. Ken Green, new party idea is a good idea. I'm sure many will agree. Yeah, Ken, and you have another comment here as well. Irish rarely permit referendums unless it can be controlled in their favour. Yeah, I'd agree with you there too, man. I'm sure a lot of people would agree that a party would be a good idea. But the thing is, John needs to get 300 people to show up and sign up to be members of the party. Showing up, signing up means that you're just a member. That's all. You just sign up, you pay maybe 5, 10, 20 euro, whatever the membership fee might be decided at. And then the party need to elect, I think it's a chairperson, a secretary, and a treasurer. And they're officially a party then. So there's 300 member requirement, and then there's just the secretary, chairperson, and treasurer, and the party can roll on. So those 300 people, I don't know even if they have to be registered to vote. I don't know. But John tried to get that to happen, and he wasn't able to get that to happen. For me, you know, I'll give him a shout out. I'll support him in doing it, and all that. But again, there's a lot of work that has to go into that, and running as an independent for me is it's just easier to go ahead with. And but you know, if there is a cannabis legalization party there, I might be interested in joining it. But again, I wouldn't be running as a single issue candidate then either. But yeah, that's all to be worked out into the future there anyway. But hopefully it might be something that might materialise. Ireland could do with a cannabis legalization party, or maybe just some twist on the Green Party. You know, the green cannabis legalization party. I don't know, like the cannabis and green cannabis environment. I don't know, the climate action now party can. I don't know. There's a couple of things there because again, like while I would run as a candidate, I wouldn't be single issue. Cannabis legalization would be my number one thing. Number two, decriminalization of the drug user. Number three, spent convictions. Number four, you're looking at climate. Five, you're looking at maybe employee rights. Proper rights there for employees. And that's not in any order there for those bottom ones. It's just as they're coming to my head. You've homelessness, hospitals, all of the above. Privatization there of a lot of essential services like our bins or water, all of this crap. Like, there's a lot of things there that I've views and opinions on. So, guys, I'm not going to go off on any more tangents there. I think that's all of the comments dealt with for today. And thanks again to everybody who's tuned in and shown your support. I'll do a few edits there to just get rid of that technical error I had with the video earlier on in the show. So, guys, thanks again. This is Martin Condon, 420 News, coming from you from Martin's World. Keep it real, guys. Stay blazed. And, yeah, see you on Friday. Peace.